Hey everybody, I know you've been anxious to find out how I have finished up my sewing space, and I apologize that it's taken so long, but 2012 has been my year of international travel, so I've been gone a lot. Anyway, I think it's time for you to see what's happened in this space. You may last recall that I was talking about how uneven the floor is. Well, that's true. It's 4 inches taller on this side of the studio than it is on that side of the studio. And if I had chosen to level it, well, then my ceiling would be 4 inches shorter. So I decided it's such a big room, I will just live with it, and every now and then my sewing chair starts to roll, and then I just kind of get back into place. In the center is kind of the piece de resistance, so to speak. It is my sewing table, and this table was custom made. I gave my my carpenter guy the idea of what I wanted. I said, this is what you have to do. So don't email me because I don't have plans for this, but this is what I did. I ended up going to IKEA and I found these storage units that are underneath. I wanted to have 2 on one side and 1 on each end. So that became the dimensions for the height and everything else for the table. And on the table is where I do my cutting, it's where I do my ironing, it's where I do my sewing. So I get it all done in one location. Then over on the side where I sew, you'll notice that it's actually kind of recessed. It's kind of down a little bit lower than the rest of the table. Well, don't be deceived, because if I come over and simply push this button right here, watch what happens. It raises the table up to the height that I want it to be when I'm doing my machine quilting. That's a really cool feature. So that's obviously hydraulic, and my carpenter guy had to find a hydraulic that would actually work for 1,000 pounds. Not that we needed 1,000 pounds, but it's a really important part of the table. Also, underneath, because my sewing machine is sitting on top, it has one of those contraptions where I can then push the sewing machine down into the table and allow it to just do the things that I want it to do. One of the things you have to know is when you raise your table, you also have to raise your seat. And when you raise your seat, your feet don't touch the floor. So what did I do? When I have my seat raised and my table raised to its highest, I have a platform. I really wish I had one that was better than 2 cardboard boxes, but then I can reach my pedal down below. So that works out great. Now over here, I've got thread storage. Now, the first thing you might say is, how do I actually get to the bottom of that jar? I figured out a system that works for me. And that is, I simply take the jar, I dump it into a box, because I have a box handy, I get the thread I want, and then I dump it all right back. And as long as you keep those thread tails tidy, that's not going to be a problem. I also have wall space. The wall space in here allows me to change out quilts, my favorite quilts that I want to put up, because I don't want it to be, I don't know, static. I like for things to change. Over in this area, I have another workstation that I've had for a long time, and it's where I can do computer work, but it's also where I do my music. So I'm able to compose and do my music in the same room if I need to sit down and take a break, and so forth. So naturally, the design wall is one of those things that's most important in my studio as well. And this is the first time I've ever had a permanently installed design wall. It's on acoustical ceiling tiles, the kind that you put in a drop-down ceiling that's 2x4. Thanks, Libby, for that tip. And I have then covered it with warm and natural batting, and then I've covered it with flannel. So it sticks. All of the pieces that I have on this wall right now are simply stuck up in place because they're sticking to my flannel wall. Yes, a good breeze would knock some of those off, so because I have the acoustical tile in the background, I would simply be able to pin if I wanted to pin. Now, as far as lighting in the room, I've got plenty of lights. As a matter of fact, I've got 2 ceiling fans, and the lights that are in here are all daylight corrected fluorescent, so I have a good lighting. I do think it's important to make the studio space personal. So I've got things in the studio that are just me, things that make me happy. I also have a little comfy chair where I can sit and relax, work on my computer, or if I just want to take a break, I've got a place I can do that as well. And yep, I put a television in. It's mounted on the wall for easy convenience, so I can see it from anywhere in the room. So you have to have a place to store your fabric. Well, I have a closet in my new space, and I'm using these IKEA, they fold out, and instead of having my fabric fall off of the wall, you know how when you stack it, it wants to fall down, I just say what colors of fabrics I have in there. I'm trying to get all the pictures labeled so I can see what's in there, and if I want yellow green, I know I can just pull out yellow green and it'll be right here. This is working for me very well. I do have my commercial fabric in another location of the house because this studio already got too small. Last but not least, I want you to know that I have a gamble in here as well. Not only do I have a whole bunch of Berninas to sew on for my regular sewing, but the gamble machine is in here because we've been doing some videos for gamble. So it's important that we have a gamble machine. This is giving me a chance to really try out if I like a long arm or not. But it is in here, it certainly fits in the space, and I've enjoyed having it there. So I definitely hope that you've enjoyed taking this little tour with me today and that you'll get a little bit of inspiration on your sewing space. Talk to you later.